welcome to Mayhem Fitness today. Today we have a pretty cool video I'm excited to share with you. I'm going to talk to you about the difference between buying a newer bike versus a used bike, and then also compare obviously a road bike versus a mountain bike or a hybrid bike. So these are my two bikes. This is my 2019 Domane AL3. I got it about a year and a half ago. We've put about 2,500 miles on it since we've had it. We've replaced one set of tires. I love this bike. Last year I didn't bike during the winter, so I figured I wanted to do some winter biking, and so I actually got this bike here. This is a Trek Multitrack 730 from 1997. That's in amazing shape. This bike actually belonged to my uncle. My aunt gave it to me after he passed away, so thank you, Doris. I appreciate it. I will love this bike and take care of it, and I will ride it in memory of Uncle Bobby and make sure it gets a lot of love as we use it. But as we look at these two bikes, I wanted to help give you a comparison if you're thinking about getting into cycling. This channel has a lot on cycling in here, so I wanted to give you some really good information to help you understand what the differences are. So as I thought about these two bikes, I'm going to get on and ride them both today and show you some differences on some shorter rides. I've already done two 12.8 mile rides on both over the last couple nights during similar weather conditions, and I'll share with you how that kind of turned out. But as I thought about these bikes, they're very, very different. I'll give you some of the specs when I'm on them today. We'll share some of that with you, but I wanted to give you my thought process. So when I first got this bike, you know, I was really excited for it. It's an aluminum road bike. I was excited for it because I thought it'd be a fast bike. And it was a little different than I thought. So I'll share with you just in a second. I'm gonna give you a comparison. I told you I was a car guy. This bike is kind of the utilitarian bike, and I figured this bike could be more comfortable, but as I've ridden it more, I've also come up with some pretty interesting kind of conclusions. Okay, so when I got this bike, I got in this bike probably 6 months after I got in this Corvette here. This is my 93 Corvette. I love this car, and I thought of this bike as a sports car, and as I've ridden it, I've come to realize a couple of things. One, it's not a sports car, it's not a sport bike, it's not very fast, but it is actually very comfortable. So I would tell you that I don't think it's like this car here. This is my wife's Cadillac or XTS. And the reason I say that, not that the Corvette isn't a comfortable car, but the Corvette's a sports car. You're gonna go out and ride that in shorter rides. You're gonna enjoy it. It's quick, it's great around the corners. Not that this bike doesn't handle well, not that it's not quick, but this bike I have fallen in love with for putting a ton of miles on. This bike is awesome to just go out and ride. What I found is, as I was comparing these two bikes, this bike just makes me want to ride more. I just get out and put miles on it. So when I think about a road bike, especially like this, it's not a hardcore carbon bike. It's not the lightest bike in the world. I'll share with you some of the specs as we get going. But what this bike does let me do is it lets me go out and ride and be comfortable. There are plenty of nights that I've gone out on this bike for a 10 to 15 mile ride, and I've done 25 or 30 just because I felt great on the bike. So I would tell you a bike like this, so this is an entry-level road bike. It's around $1,000. You know, depending on what you have on mine. I've upgraded the brakes, new tires, and an upgraded seat. I've probably got about $1,400 into this bike. But for this bike, it's an absolutely amazing bike to just go carve up the miles, go enjoy. And I am faster on this bike than I am on the other bike. There's no question about it. This bike's about 7 pounds lighter, so I'm definitely going to be quicker. But again, I look at some of the other folks I see in some of the biking forums, and when I go in group rides, they're 1 to 2 miles an hour faster, but they're riding a hardcore carbon bike that definitely is not as comfortable as this bike. So I would tell you that I believe this bike, especially if you go to the Domane, the AL3, this is like the Cadillac of bikes, not the Got the Trek Multitrack 730. So I've only had this bike for, you know, about a week or so. I have gone out and gotten 2 or 3 rides on it. And what I would tell you on this bike is a great bike. What I thought would happen on this, so I thought this bike would be significantly more comfortable. While it is a comfortable bike, the weight is really the main detractor on it. I really kind of think about it, it's like my Jeep here, right? You know, my Jeep, I love it. It's a great utilitarian vehicle. I can go anywhere. And the coolest thing on this, I don't have to worry about anything. I kind of think of this bike this way, and that's why I'm looking at it as my winter bike. I would tell you could ride this bike every day, but if you want to ride something more than 8 to 10 miles at a time, I probably wouldn't recommend something like this. It's very heavy. Like I said, it's about 7 pounds heavier than the Domane. You know, it's not quite as fast. It's definitely slower, and I'm going to run you through in just a couple minutes, a couple of 5 mile back-to-back to see what our time differences are. Just a little easy 5 mile loop with moderate hills. So it's not as quick, but there are some significant benefits to this. One is cost. New, this bike and the Domane were a similar price. This bike was $495 new in 1997. The other benefit on this though is now you can get it used for, you know, just a couple of $100s. Again, for me, I put new tires, a new chain, new brake pads on. I spent a couple of $100s on to get this thing ready to go for the season, and now I can use it all year round. I'm going to give you the other significant benefit on this. Around here, our roads can be a little bit rough. especially when you get towards the edge of the road where most of us ride. What I found on this is, again, I'm not worried as much about potholes, and I love the fact that I'm not like Bambi on ice like I am on my road bike when I hit a patch of gravel. Like, I don't have to worry about gravel or dirt, which is a lot on the road. So there's definitely some advantages to this bike. I would say if you're thinking about biking and you're unsure, you know, the Domane is a little bit more of an investment. You know, you're at $1,200–$1,400 in. This one, you're, you know, if you can pick one up, you're probably $400 in. You can see if you really like biking and see if you like what you're doing. And give you the opportunity to kind of get going. So I would say this is a great opportunity to pick up something to get started. Again, a great bike, well made. This one was well taken care of. So I was able to pick this up and again, get it going on a very easy cost for me. But I would tell you that it's definitely not going to be as comfortable a ride. Again, like my Jeep. My Jeep's comfortable, but again, I'm not looking to put 1,000,000 miles on it like I am with the Cadillac if we're going for a long drive. So that's kind of the easy way I can help you think about it. That's the road bike's kind of like the Cadillac. This is kind of like the Jeep, the more utilitarian, but they both have great purpose, and I love them both, and I would say you can't go wrong with either one. It just depends on what kind of riding you want to do. So we're on the Trek 730 Multitrack. We're out doing our little loop here. So let's talk about this bike and what I like about it, and then what I'm not as crazy about if you're thinking about buying a bike like this. So obviously we talked about the price, great value. Honestly, a great made bike for a bike that is 23 years old. I mean, this one was very well taken care of, but it is a nice bike. No rattles. Everything still feels really positive. I mean, the shifting is still really solid. You know, it's just a well-made bike, so I'm a big fan of that piece of it. It is big, it is heavy, chrome moly steel, you know, big wheels. We actually put puncture-resistant 4 series tires on here on purpose because we wanted to be able to use in the winter. And I have had some punctures on my road bike with some of the tires, so I went with a tire that was going to be really strong and solid. So, and again, the nice thing, again, I can jump from here to here, no worries. I could never do that on my road bike. So not having to worry about the bike as much is a huge benefit. Also, it is an older Shimano gear set, but it is a 21 speed versus the 18 speed on the Domane. So I also never feel like I'm actually running out of gears, which is actually a really nice benefit. The downside is it is big, it is slow, and on hills it's tough. And I'm going to show you a hill in just a minute or so, and we'll do actually a hill comparison on both. But the hills will get you on this bike, and that's the biggest thing I found. So I would say pros on this bike: price, you know, durability. You know it's going to last a long time. Ability to ride on all terrains. And then obviously just not worrying about it as much. If you're going somewhere and you want to leave your bike out there, you have this kind of a bike here, especially used. Cons, it is heavy, not great for hills. I prefer the seating position on a road bike, so I like that better. And I would also say on something like this, you're probably not going to ride as many miles. Like, you're not going to get out and go out and just say, hey, I'm going to go put a half century or a century ride on a bike like this. It's just not going to be as comfortable for you. So I say that's be the pros and cons. All right, so we have this little hill here. We're on our bike. We're show what it's like on the mountain bike a little bit. So we're in a lower gear. Should be pretty easy again. Just as I'm on this bike versus the road bike, it is a lot more effort. So I do like to try to get out of the saddle and try to get up on my, you know, stand while I'm doing this. But this is just a big, heavy bike. And again, these tires, while very comfortable and flying over any potholes, are definitely slowing down the speed here. So you can see it's definitely more of a challenge tackling a hill on a bike like this. The Domane AL3, same road. So here's some just key takeaways. This is a bike I've ridden a lot. 500 miles in July, 450 in June, and 250 in May. So I've got a lot of miles on this bike this year that I'm very familiar with it. Here are the key things I would tell you. Definitely lighter, faster, more comfortable. So just a lot of really cool things. I know. What you'll notice out here though is, so a couple things. So over here you saw I was kind of riding on the side of the road earlier. I can't do that. And I am a little more cautious on this bike only because, again, in dirt, it really does slip and slide. If you've ever ridden a road bike, or if you haven't, you're thinking about doing a road bike, you'll hit some patches of dirt and you'll be shocked about just how unsafe you feel. It really is like you're on ice. But the big difference on here is just how comfortable I am, and then just how much easier it is to go fast. It's just a lot quicker. The bike just feels more natural. Again, the movement on the bike is very intuitive on a road bike. It's easy to move back and forth. You don't turn quite as quickly. You know, you can't make that sudden turn like you can on a mountain bike or a hybrid, but how you feel when you're riding is you feel so much better, safer, faster. But again, I do worry about things like potholes up here, even just these minor potholes, you know, you get nervous about because you don't want to pop a tire. And again, on that mountain bike, I'm not worried about that at all. And I've actually popped the back tire on this bike twice this year, hitting a piece of glass or a sharp rock in the road. That's kind of derailed some of my rides, and both right before really long rides. Luckily, my local bike shop, Landry's, has been awesome in getting me back on the road right away. But I would say, again, the biggest difference is speed, comfort, confidence on here versus on the mountain bike. Go anywhere, durability, value. There's a few things out there. So I'll show you the hill on this bike in just a second, and then we'll go back home and we'll come kind of the same little hill here as we do on the mountain bike. And you can see I'm not breathing as heavy. Taking the first part of the hill on again, put on no lower gear, just significantly easier, way less resistance. I'm fighting against the bike a lot less, a lot easier to get up here. And then once we come around the corner, we can actually get some speed in, and it's pretty easy to ride. All right, so let's come back and talk about our conclusions from our rides today. So we just got back from both of we did about a 4.5 mile loop. I'll give you the times on both bikes. So on the Domane, we were at about 18 minutes, average speed about 13.5 miles an hour. We topped at about 26. On the Multitrack 730, we finished at about 21 minutes, average speed of about 11 miles an hour with a top speed of about 20 miles an hour. And that just kind of expands as we went into the longer rides. When we did about the 12.8 mile loop, we were about 54 minutes here on the Domane. Again, about 13.5 miles an hour, topped out about 35 miles an hour. We have a couple of pretty good downhills along with a couple of pretty tough uphills on that route. On this bike, we were at 1 hour and 2 minutes. Again, average speed about 11.6. Topped out at about, I think we talked about 26 miles an hour. So as I've done the loops today and I think about the two rides, you know, there are a couple things that come to mind for me. One is, let's talk about the used bike first. Incredible value, really comfortable, great durability. Again, this bike is 23 years old. It looks brand new. Credit to my aunt and uncle, who just did a great job at taking care of this bike when they had it. But this is a bike I think you can go out and buy today, ride every day, 5 to 8 miles, maybe 10 miles, feel great about it, not worry about the potholes, not worry about gravel, not worry about dirt, do a little bit of trail riding, right? You can do a lot of really cool stuff with this bike and not worry a ton about it. To me, the demerit to this bike comes down to really two things. One, it's big. Two, it's slow. So when I think about both of those things, it's going to make me, as someone who likes to ride distance, not want to ride that far. I don't ever envision myself riding any more than maybe 15 or 20 miles in a single ride on this bike. I just don't find it as comfortable. Not that it's a bad bike at all. I'm actually super excited and grateful for this bike, because it's going to allow me to ride all winter. The last couple of years, I've actually taken the winter off, and then you get back into it in spring and you slowly go back into your rides. I don't have to do that this year. So I'm super grateful for this bike, and I'm excited to ride it. And again, for value, you know, if you could pick this bike up for a couple of $100, again, new tires, new chain, new brake pads, you're into it for less than $500, and you have a bike that you can ride and enjoy for a long time. Let's talk about the bike that I really love here. That's going to be my road bike. Here's why. Again, it's not a hardcore carbon road bike. It's not particularly fast. And when I said at the beginning of the video, it's not a slow bike by any means. It's quick. And again, it's as quick as the rider, right? The speed on this bike is more based on me than anything else, but it's not fast compared to what else is out there, right? You can get a better group set. You know, again, 21 speed Shimano, an older set versus an 18 speed. And I do find on this bike, sometimes I can find a gear that I feel seems maybe a little bit lost in the middle on this bike. So that would be the one demerit I would say is, you know, maybe upgrade a group set, get a little bit of, you know, better gears in the bike. But for what I want to do, it's perfect. It lets me get out and do, you know, a ton of miles. I did 500 miles in July. I did 450 in June, so we averaged 15.5 miles a day in June, and we averaged just over 16 in July, which was great. You know, I did my first century ride in July. This is a bike that I just want to go out and put miles on. And I love that feature about it. I think for me, that would be the biggest deciding factor. If you said, hey, I'm looking to buy a bike, and hopefully this helps and gives you some great information, I would say if you live in a fairly flat area, if you're going to tackle some trails, if you have a lot of gravel or a lot of potholes, or if you just want to ride 5 to 8 miles a day, save your money, get a great used bike, something like a hybrid or an entry-level mountain bike that's going to be perfect for you. You're only a few $100s in. If you want to put more miles on a bike, I think this is a great option for you. And I'll tell you, I'm a huge fan of an entry-level road bike. I think the value in it is you're going to ride it for a long time. So I could potentially see myself investing in a carbon bike in the future. But what I would say is that doesn't mean I would ever get rid of this bike. This is a bike that is super comfortable. It's a bike that I love to ride and put miles on. So that carbon bike might be something I would do if I wanted to try to be a little bit faster. But if I wanted to go out and do 50 or 100 miles, I would see myself riding this bike for a long time and having this as the perfect bike for me. So I would say, again, for long distance riding, or if you want to take cycling a little bit more serious beyond the 5 to 8 miles, and again, there's no wrong answer, I would say that I believe a great entry-level aluminum road bike is a good option for you. $1,000 price point is going to get you started, get you involved in cycling, hopefully love it as much as I do. So hopefully this was helpful for you. Check out Mayhem Fitness this week. I know we have at least two more videos coming this week. We'll be doing another cooking video this week, and then we'll have another video from you from the gym to hopefully give you some great workouts you can do as you get back in the gym or work out from home. So hopefully this is helpful. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you soon at Mayhem Fitness again. Thanks.